What a difference a day makes. My God. Rob Gronkowski, who as of yesterday, it was just this vague possibility that was floating around in the ether. We had talked about it before. The very trusty and loyal canine, Leroy, the NFL insider, owned by my internet son, PFT Commenter, had gotten the ball rolling about Gronk to Tampa a few weeks back. It's happened. It's done. Just like that. Like yesterday afternoon, what would normally take a week happened in like 15 minutes. Everybody was trying to one-up each other, the NFL reporters, and the thing got pushed along from, hey, you know what, there's a chance this possibly could happen at some point down the road, to it's happened, it's done, it's over. Rob Gronkowski is a member of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The Bucs give up a 4th-round pick. The Patriots send Gronkowski and a 7th-round pick. He was never going to play for the Patriots again. This is found money for New England. It's a great deal for both sides. It's a win-win, and Brady and Gronk together again.
Yeah, I mean, it's unbelievable. It really is. It just adds more excitement to this whole NFC South, the Tampa Bay, everything that's going on there. It's a different look, and I'm excited about that. And when I first saw it yesterday, the news, Mike, I didn't really believe it, because 2 weeks ago, I sent you a fake Instagram post or tweet, whatever it was, where it said Gronk was going to Tampa Bay. My old Aunt Wendy, loyal listener to the show, she sent it to me. She was duped, obviously. So I didn't know whether to believe it or not when I first heard it yesterday. But holy cow. I mean, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers with this football team and Rob Gronkowski, hey, all the things that he'll be able to do on the field. Listen, he's not going to be a superstar, Hall of Famer, just dominate like he did 4 or 5 years ago. But I do think he's still got a lot of domination left in the tank, I'll say that. Let alone, I think the factors of what he brings, Mike, just to the organization again, to almost be a buffer or a hype man, let's say, for a lack of a better way to say it, for Tom Brady within the organization. When Brady wants to yell at an offensive lineman for not practicing well or whatever it may be, Gronk will be able to be over, hey, this is what Tom does. Just relax. He still loves you. He's still got confidence in you. So that's going to be great, let alone it's another guy in the locker room to show that team what it takes to win football games.
I'm just still trying to figure out whether or not you offended and insulted Aunt Wendy. You said my old Aunt Wendy. Did you mean my trusty old Aunt Wendy, kind of like that, or like
yes,
old,
well,
like literally old? That's not very nice of you to say about your Aunt Wendy. Hello, Aunt Wendy.
She's there. She's listening. She just sent a text message with emoji with heart in the eye, so she wasn't offended. So don't you worry. Okay.
I am on hashtag Team Aunt Wendy. All right,
she's on Team Mike Florio, so don't worry.
Good. Well, Rob Gronkowski is on Team Buccaneers, and when we talked about this at first, the contrast between Bill Belichick, who had a big hand in shoving Gronkowski into retirement because Gronkowski was done with Dr. Doom. He just wasn't having fun anymore. How many different times have we heard that over the course of the last year? And he's going to be dealing with the exact opposite of Bill Belichick in Tampa Bay, in Bruce Arians, who will be able to drink Gronk under the table if push comes to shove, who will be dropping more F-bombs than Gronk has ever heard in his life, and not in an angry way like Bill Belichick would do it, just kind of that casual, it just pops out of his mouth, kind of like with you, anytime you're not in front of a microphone and sometimes when you are. And I think he's going to like that. We've said that. It's a breath of fresh air for Rob Gronkowski. All the reasons why he didn't want to play for New England anymore make him want to play for the Buccaneers. The combination of Arians and Tom Brady, the idea of getting the band back together again, it's exciting. And look, it's the kind of thing that should make us even more hopeful that there will be a football season in 2020, because now we must see how this laboratory experiment in Tampa Bay works out with Tom Brady joining as a free agent, Rob Gronkowski emerging from retirement, and who knows what else the Buccaneers have up their sleeves between now and whenever we would start a football season.
Well, I mean, that's right. I mean, hey, listen, they got, 2 picks in the top 46 picks in the draft there. So they're going to be able to, add some more talent to this football team. But, Mike, I think you hit it. It's a total refresh button from all angles. And, yes, I could speak to whether me playing for Josh McDaniels on the Denver Broncos football team or working in New England. We've had this conversation many times. You've talked about it, Dr. Doom, whatever. It's always doomsday in New England. It's always like, oh, did we lose yesterday and we got to like focus extra hard? I mean, it's a grind. You're not going to get a lot of pats on the butt. There's not going to be a lot of team camaraderie parties and things like that. There's not going to ever be like, hey, I'll cut off a few periods at the end of practice because I know you guys are tired. No, none of that's going to happen. And that, I think that wore Brady out. I think it wore Gronk out. Gosh, this is like the total opposite of New England, really. Uniforms are different, weather's different, coaches are different, atmosphere and culture are different. But I think Brady and Gronk will be able to infuse a little of that New England culture into Tampa Bay, which I think it needs. It needs just a little bit of a buttoning up, right? To me, at least on the outside looking in, to where they can bring that to this football team and make everybody a believer and, make everybody be a little more detailed and thorough in how they practice and approach their job.
Yeah, ultimately, Gronk could only take it for 9 years with Belichick. Brady did it for 20, but either way, there is a shelf life on how long any one individual can tolerate that. And see, this is the first time we've seen that happen under the umbrella of the Patriot Way, because the way the Patriot Way is set up, they're done with you before you're done with them. And now, with two of the greatest players that the franchise has ever seen, what happened was the players were done with Belichick before Belichick was done with them. And now they're trying to recreate that magic somewhere else. And maybe there is a balance that can be struck in Tampa where there is a degree of gravity, right? A little bit of doom, just a dash of doom. Not all the time, not every day. You have to know when to parse out the doom, but you balance it with Bruce Arians and his way and his style and his attitude. And it feels like this is either going to work and they're going to the Super Bowl or it's going to implode. Like, I don't know. Is there a middle ground? This isn't a 9-7 thing for me. This is either disaster or it's all going to fall together and they are on their way to being the first team to ever play a Super Bowl in their own stadium, because that's where the Super Bowl is going to be this year in Tampa Bay.
Well, yeah, I think I'm with you too. I mean, I look at it that way as well. I think I do. I don't see a middle ground. I think this is like 6-10, and maybe Brady got injured because he was 43 and had to miss a few games, and Gronk got beat up, and it's just, he's knick-knacked all throughout the year, limping and trying to deal with injuries and all these different personalities on the team, and it just kind of all funnels downhill. Or it's going to be like 11-5 or 12-4, and we're fighting to win the NFC South and certainly in the playoffs. And I'm betting on the latter. I am. I just think, these are right pieces to add to a team that, Mike, I know you and we had high hopes for this football team going into last year. We saw potential and thought they could be a pain in the butt for a lot of people. I mean, the offense is going to be out of this world this year. I expect it to be. The defense, which was underwhelming last year, has a lot of talent. Their big thing is their pass defense stunk last year. And we just got to get Todd Bowles to straighten out that department with some of those young, talented players they have. And maybe they get a few guys in the draft. And you just look at the Bucs and you go, where is there really weaknesses on the football team? They need a right tackle and just improvements in the secondary, and that's the only thing you can really look at.
You mentioned their pass defense, and I'm looking at that graphic of Rob Gronkowski. Hey, Todd Bowles, do not use Gronk as the deep safety when you're clinging to a late lead. We saw how that works. It doesn't work. And here's the thing about Gronk. We last year were monitoring very carefully whether or not he would emerge from retirement late in the season, a guy who could be added to the playoff run. And really, with the Patriots, I'm already in Buccaneer mode. Would the Patriots have been better off with Gronk down the stretch, a healthy and motivated Gronk who was rested and ready to go? Hell yes, they would have been better off with him. But here's the thing. Because he has been so banged up, he's had so many surgeries, he's had concussions, and it was the concussion that he absorbed in the 2017 AFC Championship game against the Jaguars. Remember that? I think it was Barry Church.
Right.
Church blew him up and knocked him out of the game. that was when his family started to push Gronk to walk away. And there was a big buzz in Minneapolis in the days leading up to Super Bowl 52 that Gronk was going to do a walk-off into the sunset if the Patriots won. When they didn't win, that caused him to reconsider things, so he tabled it a year, walked off into the sunset after winning the Super Bowl in number 53. But, there was a sense that the best way to use Gronk is sparingly and hope that he's healthy when the end of the season rolls around. Does that change now? Do you go wall to wall, pedal to the metal with Gronk and just throw caution to the wind? Or do you go easy with Gronk and phase him in and really have him more involved when we get to the playoff push? That's going to be a strategic decision the Buccaneers have to make. They've got Cameron Brate. They still have O.J. Howard. And I posted an item before the show that O.J. Howard likely will be traded. I don't know. I'm starting to talk myself out of that. Maybe you keep Howard and Brate around and you work Gronk in and you get him to full speed when December rolls around, Chris.
Well, I don't think they're going to be in a tough spot if they do keep all three. I don't. I think they certainly could pull it off. And again, something that Brady and Gronk will be able to bring to Tampa Bay is great knowledge of two tight end sets, right? And how to do that. I mean, the New England Patriots invented that really in this century. And I don't want to say invented it, but they made it. They were the first team to make it a focal point of their offense. Two tight ends, two receivers, one back. So I'm sure that excites, Bruce Arians and Byron Leftwich and everything. And then, Mike, I think to what you're saying with Gronk, you do ease him along, early on. You do. You don't want him out there playing 70 snaps a game or 65 snaps a game. I think you have a conscious effort in practice and in football, just the actual games themselves, to be on somewhat of a snap count. And then as the year goes on, you kind of gauge it and see how he feels. And I would expect that, he might get Wednesdays off from practice and things like that. Hey, he's earned that right. I mean, this is a first ballot Hall of Famer. He's the best tight end I've ever seen in my life. But I think the year off, Mike, and, I know he was banged up, but I can speak to a year off after losing my spleen and doing that. When I came back, I wasn't 100%, but just my energy and oh my gosh, I'm so happy that I'm back out here and playing and in the environment and around my teammates. Just that adrenaline itself made me feel almost like I was 100%. And I think he's going to be able to feed off that for a long time too, let alone the atmosphere is going to be very refreshing to him.
Think back to the beginning of the month when we last saw Gronk. He was jumping off of a platform onto a pile of wrestlers to win the WWE 24/7 belt. And we both noticed that Gronk is looking thicker, that he's looking bigger, that he's putting on the weight, and he is, because he knew what was coming. I think the moment Tom Brady picked Tampa Bay, Gronk knew that this is what he was going to do.
I'm sure it was in his brain. Or, does this happen, Mike? You start to work out and you start to move around and you go, damn, I feel good. I feel strong. Maybe I can, and then, you're starting to have a little urge of, man, would it be cool to play with Brady in Tampa and try something? I mean, I wouldn't be shocked if he really wasn't thinking about it until he started working out and moving around and then started to realize, damn, if I can jump off the top ropes, then I can take a shot over the middle and do stuff like that. I would be very interested for somebody to ask him that question and see, how that timeline kind of went within his brain and body.
He did tell Jay Glazer, his colleague at Fox Sports, I've always said, when I have that feeling and it feels right, I'll be ready to take the field again. And I have that feeling. I'm ready. And it reminds me of something that Brett Favre said when he decided to keep playing. And it was something that he heard your dad say on radio, that you play until they tear the uniform off of you. Because once your skills go away due to the passage of time and age, they're never coming back. While you still have them, while you can still do what you can do, keep doing it. And after a year off, Gronk is going to keep doing it. And it's we all win, especially the Buccaneers, but not the teams that play Tampa Bay.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.